Look closely at the modern corporate workplace. We operate inside highly structured, hyper-competitive systems where ambition is almost entirely measured by material output and climbing the hierarchy. Surviving in these environments often requires compromises. An employee might have to exaggerate a product's capabilities to hit an aggressive sales target, ignore a safety shortcut to save time, or suppress their own identity to fit into the dominant office culture. When a worker executes a directive they know is wrong, what happens to their mind? Are they accumulating that exact same karmic dirt those ancient scholars warned about? There is a massive disconnect between an individual's personal ethics and the demands of their job. Suppressing that conflict doesn't make it go away. It creates a growing psychological vacuum inside the person doing the work. Psychiatry now has a clinical term for that vacuum. In September 2025, the American Psychiatric Association officially classified a condition known as moral injury. It is the psychological damage that occurs when someone's core ethical beliefs are violated. That violation can happen because of their own actions or because of a harmful policy they are forced to witness and enforce. This graphic shows how the modern clinical definition directly mirrors the mechanics of karma. In the ancient cycle, an intent leads to an action, which deposits an invisible residue, a samskara. In the corporate cycle, a toxic directive leads to an ethical compromise, which deposits the psychological strain of moral injury. The mechanical loop is identical. We can measure the fallout. Patients report persistent guilt, moral numbness, and severe sleep disruption. Over time, carrying this chronic stress causes allostatic overload, a cumulative strain on the body and mind that reduces cognitive capacity and emotional regulation. While the vocabulary has shifted from karmic dirt to allostatic overload, both frameworks describe the same measurable outcome: the psychological damage caused when internal values are violated. The damage compounds when individuals try to speak up. If an employee reports a safety violation and is told to stay quiet, the original ethical conflict turns into a direct betrayal. Psychologists call this institutional betrayal. Systems often protect themselves by using Darvo tactics. They deny the problem, attack the whistleblower, and reverse the roles of victim and defender, making the person who reported the issue look like the problem. Psychoanalyst Carl Jung warned about the dangers of burying these conflicts. When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. If an institution refuses to address its internal ethical failures, those unresolved issues will inevitably manifest as destructive outward behavior. Employees realize speaking up is dangerous, so they shut down. They enter a prolonged survival mode, constantly monitoring their surroundings to avoid retaliation. This hypervigilance falls heaviest on marginalized groups, and it completely drains the mental bandwidth needed for creativity or trust. Toxic workplaces create a systemic feedback loop of bad karma. This cycle erodes organizational culture and inevitably impacts the bottom line. The solution isn't to stop caring or stop striving. Ambition itself isn't the enemy here. It is the raw engine of human progress and innovation. This chart shows a spectrum of ambition, which maps how different types of drive interact with society. On the far left is materialistic ambition, the pursuit of wealth and status. When pursued through unchecked competitive means, this type of drive has the highest potential for creating moral injury and environmental harm. Now, look at the other end. Creative and social ambition, the drive to invent, solve problems, and improve communities, populate here in green. These motivations align tightly with societal health and shared value. Right now, our economic structures disproportionately reward the left side of this chart. To fix that, corporations have to enact deliberate, systemic shifts to incentivize responsible ambition, rather than rewarding ruthless extraction. Success has to be redefined. If organizations evaluate performance solely on personal material accumulation, rather than positive societal impact, widespread moral injury will remain an inescapable cost of doing business. Breaking this cycle requires action from both the system and the individual. At the top level, organizations must demonstrate institutional courage. That means building trauma-informed systems and regularly auditing teams to ensure a psychologically safe environment. On the individual level, professionals have to cultivate rigorous self-awareness. It means constantly checking your daily actions against your core ethical values and refusing to execute directives that cross those lines. When leaders design safe systems and employees operate with ethical clarity, the feedback loop breaks. It halts the allostatic overload and clears the psychological residue that weighs people down. The final thesis, reconciling personal ambition with social responsibility, allows us to exit the survival loop, heal our minds, and actively engineer a healthier world.